If you have ADHD and you struggle with perfectionism, like I have many, many times, this video is for you. In this video, I am going to talk about ADHD and perfectionism and some of the ways that it can manifest for us. And then I am going to leave you with a tip to eliminate perfectionism from your life so that you never have to fall into the feelings of feeling inadequate again. For anyone who doesn't know me, my name is Sara Kelly. I'm an ADHD mindset coach, and I come out with videos every single week on everything ADHD and mindset. If you haven't already, click that subscribe button and turn on your notifications so that you never miss a video from me. And if you would like to check out my free masterclass, there is a link below that talks about the 5 pillars to creating lasting change. If you struggle with self-confidence, rejection sensitivity dysphoria, emotional dysregulation, or any of the other isms that go with ADHD. Let me know if any of the following resonates. I cannot start this project because I don't know where to start, and unless it's perfect, I am going to come up short. I can't finish this project because it needs to be perfect and I can't quite get it there, and I don't want anybody to see it at all, because if I'm not perfect, if I don't show up perfectly, I'm going to be judged. If your internal dialogue is saying that I need to be perfect, no one can ever know that I'm this imposter, if I don't show up perfectly, I'm going to be judged, then you might be suffering from perfectionism. And I truly believe that perfectionism and having ADHD absolutely go hand in hand. Perfectionism is nothing more than a self-evaluation of being inadequate. Perfectionism is a skewed belief system. For example, failure and my value as a human being are one and the same. My mistakes and my incompetence as a person goes hand in hand. I am either the best or I don't deserve a seat at the table. If they knew my flaws, they would reject me. I must live up to everyone else's standards. When we think about our self-concept, our value is tied to how we see ourselves. Yet, so many of us really fall into saying blanket statements to ourselves like, I fail at everything, or I never do anything right. And this becomes our confirmation bias. And the problem with a confirmation bias is exactly that. It is biased to what we are focusing on or believing about ourselves, not necessarily the truth. Now, I don't know about you, but some of the reasons that I have fallen into perfectionism is maybe I've forgotten to return a text or an email, and I've kind of just let it linger there, knowing I have to get to it, but for whatever reason, I'm just not in the headspace to. And then when I finally get to that text or that email, I spend way too much time on it because I feel like I need to make up for lost time. I need to make it that much better. I need to make it perfect so that I can justify the fact that I wasn't as prompt in my response. Another reason that I've fallen into perfectionism in the past is getting an extension on a project in university or at work. And then because of that, not just handing in that project as an adequate representation of my ability, but feeling the need to put that extra pressure on myself to make it that much better to make up for the fact that I did get that extension. If any of this is resonating with you, please comment in the chat. Let me know how perfectionism, if you have ADHD, shows up in your life and how you deal with it. Perfectionism can stop us from going after the things in life that we want, the things that will bring us joy, or the things that will make us feel accomplished. And what I would get you to maybe start thinking about and getting curious about is, what is the standard of perfect? Who is the judge and jury on what is perfect and what is not? Because I think that when we are able to step back a little bit and take that bird's eye view more so over the types of things that we think about and the blanket statements that we tell ourselves, it becomes easier and easier to see over time that the things we say to ourselves about ourselves don't serve us, especially if the chatter is negative, especially if the chatter is self-defeating. The next time your internal chatter is saying some of these things like, I need to be perfect or I can't do it at all and I'm scared of being judged, I want you to get curious and ask yourself, what is the end goal with this internal chatter? What is it going to accomplish for me? Because I think that, at least for me as an ADHDer, I live a ton in my head. And when I am living in my head, I'm not practicing being mindful. I am either reliving things that happened in the past, or I am stressing out about something that's going to happen in the future. It really doesn't serve us to sit in those types of thoughts, because it's like getting into a hamster wheel and running an emotional marathon. It's going to tire you out, but it's not going to get you anywhere. Negative blanket statements keep us stagnant. And what a blanket statement is saying some grandiose thing that reaches far further than what is actually true. Something that ADHDers struggle with, and by no means am I saying every ADHDer, but a lot of us, is black and white thinking. We're very rigid in how we see things, all or nothing. And this can really trip us up when we're dealing with perfectionism, because if we can't give 110%, if we can't show everyone that we are competent enough to give 110%, sometimes we turtle. And this can really affect our task initiation and task completion. The way to remedy the rigidity that we so often fall into is by adopting more of a growth mindset and searching for that gray zone. Not everything has to be black or white. Not everything has to be 100% or 0%. A growth mindset and adopting the gray zone into your thought process when it comes to perfectionism and something that you want to get done is really the way to remedy and get out of it. Some examples of this are, although I want to do my best, failure is part of success. Every time you fail at something, you get that much closer to succeeding at it. Another one is, although I want to do my best, I can learn from my mistakes. Although I want to do my best, I cannot please everyone. And my favorite one is, although I want to do my best, I'm going to strive for progress over perfection. I hope you realize that your self-worth is not tied to how well you do something. And it is far better to do 3 things okay, mediocre, than to ruminate and obsess about getting one thing perfect. Because that puts us into that task paralysis when it comes to either starting a task or finishing a task. Some ADHDers fall into front-end perfectionism. And what that is I cannot start the task unless everything is perfect before I start, unless I have the plan completely laid out and everything is there so that I can give it 110%. It can feel very overwhelming and debilitating to put that much pressure on yourself. Another thing that ADHDers might fall into is backend perfectionism. And what that is not wanting to hand that task in, not wanting to finish that task for fear that it is not absolutely perfect. This really plays into the rigidity, the black and white thinking that so many of us ADHDers fall into. Embracing the gray zone, getting 3 things done mediocre, starting the task and being okay if it's not perfect is far better than stressing yourself out and putting all of that pressure on yourself for something that really not everyone else is going to notice. And something that I think about often is, when you have that pimple on your face and you're looking in the mirror as you're getting ready, and if you're female and you're putting makeup on it and you're, maybe stressing out about making sure that blemish is covered, that pimple looks like the size of Saturn when I'm looking at my own reflection, but somebody else looking at me is barely even going to notice that it's there. So I really feel that that's the same with so many of the things that we stress out about when it comes to perfectionism. We are going to have a way stronger critical microscope on ourselves and on how we show up in what we do than anybody else noticing. And embracing the gray zone can really get us out of that. Something that you can do is you can get curious about the perfectionism that you are currently struggling with and ask yourself, who am I and how would I show up if I wasn't so fixated on being perfect all the time, if I recognize that at times I can fall into black and white thinking, and instead of defaulting to that, I'm going to start practicing having a growth mindset. I'm going to start practicing embracing the gray zone. Inviting that conversation in when you are being hard on yourself, when you are falling on those perfectionistic tendencies, is the way to come out of them. It is a way to move past them, is having that growth mindset. It is always better to do something okay or mediocre than to stress out so much about making something perfect that it affects your mental health. I want you to strive for progress over perfection, persistence over perfection, productivity over perfection, participation over perfection, and perspective over perfection. And don't forget to enjoy the journey. So many times we're so focused on the finish line that we forget to stop and smell the flowers along the way. Thank you so much for listening to this video. I hope you enjoyed it. Please like and comment if you haven't already, so that this video gets pushed out to more ADHDers in the algorithm who also struggle with perfectionism. I have talked to over 100 women at this point in my career who have ADHD, and perfectionism and ADHD go hand in hand. So helping me bring this video to more people will help women who have ADHD and perfectionistic tendencies to hopefully learn how to embrace more of that growth mindset and the gray zone instead of our black and white thinking. Thank you again for watching, and I will see you next week.